Why should they consider Bitcoin when it seems so expensive and still so out of reach? Why is this something they need to be looking at right now?
All right, so the reason you should be looking at it is because you're getting screwed and you don't know it. Like, why are the prices of eggs going up? Why is it that the same house that you've been saving for 5 years at $250,000 is now $400,000? Like, why is it that, you know, stocks and equities, that despite the fact that they're not even any more profitable, like the huge corporations just keep getting bigger and they have access to debt that makes no sense? You pay 22% interest on the simplest of debt, and they pay 0.5%, and they borrow it from a central bank, like directly. Like, you don't understand that there's a limited amount of resources, and that means that literally your cost of using up those resources is 22%, and theirs is 0.5%. That's psychotic. Like, that is, you're literally getting screwed. And what is happening is that they are doing it with an accounting trick. Imagine you have a small society with 10 people, and 9 people do all the work. That one of them gets the water, one of them builds a car, one of them builds the houses, one of them gets the food, etc. Everybody's doing their job. And what you need is you need an accounting system that says, okay, I put a car into this system. So, you know, how much food, how long did it take you to make all this food? So how much food can I get back out? And the point is to make sure that everybody's contributing so that everybody is literally making the society wealthier at the same time. And we can trade, we can work together. I use your food, you use my car. Like, that is the point of society. Now imagine there's a 10th guy that's just screwing with the accounting system and buying up everybody's stuff. He just says, I have a bunch more points, I get your car. I have a bunch more points, I get your food. I have a bunch more points, I get your house. Now he has the house, he has the food, he has the car, he has the space, he has the water, he has everything. And we're working twice as hard. And now when we want to buy it back from him, we're not going to buy it back from him at the exact same price that he paid. He's going to bid it up because he wanted it. He wants the house. He doesn't want to live out on the street. So now the house is twice as expensive, and the guy who built the house can't buy the house. How does that make any sense? That 10% is just fraud. It is just corruption. And believe it or not, I know this sounds crazy to a lot of people who don't understand the structure, but that is literally how our money works. And we are getting screwed when you talk to your granddad, he says, I used to buy a Big Mac for a nickel. Like, the reason that is because the monetary system has been screwing all of us. Think about it. If he tried to save a nickel, which might have been a significant, it would have at least been a hamburger. Imagine he tried to plan from that point to be like, okay, I need to save, 100,000 nickels in order to eat for this span of time. How many hamburgers would he get now? He worked his whole life trying to, like, the time was just completely stolen from him. You must not work hard for something that somebody else can make an infinite amount of for free at no cost and no contribution. If you are working hard for something, do it for something that is hard to make. That is the point of money. That is the point of society. It is antithetical to cooperation and basic common sense to work for something. It just means you're working for them. If they can print trillions of it for free, you're just working for them. Stop working for them and use a money that has the same rules for everybody. And trust me, on a long enough timeline, that will pay off like you could not believe. That's my case.
Amen. Well said. Will, is there anything you want to add on top of that?
I mean, this is why Guy is the most listened to man in Bitcoin right here. I think he speaks the truth. And, the way I think about it, it reminds me, what Guy was saying, reminds me a little bit about this one quote. I forget which, it's from a book or a speech, but basically it's these two fish are swimming along in the ocean, and then they come and meet an older fish. And the older fish says, morning, boys, how's the water today? And the two young fish continue to swim on, and they look at each other and say, what the hell is the water? What is he talking about? And it's interesting that money plays this role that is just absolutely ubiquitous. We are entrenched in it. It touches every surface of what we do. And it's often those things that are so ubiquitous that we know the least about, because we don't see it as part of the environment acting on us. We just see it as part of the environment that can't be changed or has always been there. And we're operating in a moment now that 50% of people have essentially given up on meeting and achieving their financial goals for saving. They have more credit card debt than money for emergency savings. They have a position where 25% of groceries and food delivery is now happening on buy now, pay later. There's something very seriously wrong, in addition to all the stuff that Guy was talking about in terms of housing prices, food prices, and all of this. And these two fish that are swimming along are looking around and seeing all this stuff, and it causes a lot of anxiety, but they don't see the water. And I think a lot of what Bitcoin and education needs to be about and can be about is seeing the water, because that helps you understand all these other factors that we can easily point out that everyone would agree with us on a lot of these points. But because they can't see the water, we can't get to the solution.
I think that's just a great way of framing it from both of you, because that's the thing. Money is not something that we're taught in school, right? Money, like what is money, is not a question that most of us asked until maybe we started going down the Bitcoin or Austrian economics rabbit hole. And even then, it's a question that you continue to struggle with because it's a difficult one, right? And so when people are trying to wrap their heads around Bitcoin and they hear all this stuff in the media about, oh, well, it's depending on what year you're looking at or what publication you were reading, you might have heard that it was a speculative bubble over and over again. You might have heard that it was dead. You might have heard that it was rat poison squared from your favorite Berkshire Hathaway leader. You may have heard any number of things that kind of muddied the waters. So you're trying to figure out what water is, but these waters are very muddied right now. And so I think what helps is to bring it back to basics a little bit. And I'm curious for you, Guy, do you view Bitcoin as an investment, or is this something that is just savings? Is there even a difference between investment and savings in terms of how you think about it or how people should think about it?
Savings is an investment in your future, and it would be stupid for me to put anything else in that investment other than the hardest asset I can find that is valuable for everybody. Like, unequivocally, it's beyond stupid, especially in this day and age when technology is making it easier to make everything at an unprecedented pace where I don't even know. I think my house is going to be worth some amount, but, with literally large scale 3D printers, maybe it only takes a week to build a house in 5 years. I don't even know, So I don't see anything as reliably scarce except something that is provably scarce. And the only thing that's provably scarce is Bitcoin. So for investing in my future, the last thing I want is fiat, because I know it's going to lose 10% a year. I just know, because that's just what the monetary trend does. Sure, Netflix and technology and like stuff you can't eat will get cheaper, but everything else is just going to get more expensive. So yes, it is an investment in savings, is an investment in my future, and it would be absolutely stupid of me to think of or weigh how much savings I have in anything other than Bitcoin, and from my perspective. So it's just my money. Like, it's just my money. I get, a lot of people think like, oh, I have a lot in Bitcoin and it's fluctuating because their totem or their, it's kind of like, you're on the ocean or you're on the ground, right? And when you're on the ocean and, you're in the waves, it feels like things are crazy, and you're on the ground, you look at the waves and you're like, wow, it's really crazy out there. But the ground is your point of reference for what the movement is. And everybody in society thinks that they're on the ground looking at the ocean when Bitcoin is doing this, but they're actually on the ocean looking at the ground. So the ground looks like it's going crazy, but Bitcoin is 21 million. It's not moving at all. What you're doing is you're watching the fiat market fluctuations of what it's worth. So when they're like, oh my God, it's only worth 90,000. Oh my God, it's worth 105,000. And it's like doing this number. All I am thinking is, how much Bitcoin is it costing me today to do this versus how much Bitcoin is it going to cost me tomorrow to do this? So when Bitcoin goes down to 90,000, I'm like, oh my God, let me get that invoice. Let me get paid like right now, because this is more Bitcoin. And I'm standing on the ground looking at the waves and realizing that, oh, here's a trough. I'm getting lucky. And so it is all about the frame of reference. Bitcoin is my frame of reference. And I do not, when somebody says, like, don't you want to sell it right now? It's high. And I'm like, sell it for what? Sell it for what? Sell it for something that is literally going to lose 10% this year. They're going to print. Like in 2035, the US debt is going to be between 70 and $80 trillion. It is. And that seems crazy, but it would have seemed crazy when it was 16 trillion in 2015 for it to be 38 trillion. It's 38 trillion. It doubles every 10 years. All the way back to 1975, it doubles. We started at 900 billion, we're at 36 trillion. It's going to be twice that in 2035. The only time that it didn't double, it tripled twice. So it might be 100 trillion. We don't know, but it's going to be somewhere up there. The hell if I want a portion of that pie that's bleeding, just unbelievably bleeding. And a 10-year span is not even a super long time frame to be planning on. If you're not planning for 10 years in the future, your 20 years in the future is going to suck. Like, think about what you want to hold today that will be worth something in 5 to 10 years and cannot be screwed with. That somebody cannot manipulate. Bitcoin is my ground. So what it costs me in Bitcoin or what I am getting in Bitcoin is what concerns me. Most people are nervous when they're holding too much Bitcoin. I am nervous when I'm holding too much fiat. If I ever have like a lot of dollars in my account and Bitcoin is doing something, I'm like, oh God, I could get locked out of this account. I could, run into some fee or a limit so that I can't get back into Bitcoin for another week. Like, I get literally nervous if there is a lot of dollars in a bank account somewhere. And I finally feel like I can sleep easy if it's all back into Bitcoin in my multisig. So that's just how I see it now. And I think on the other side, it just seems crazy to see it the other way. It's like, why would I care what something is measured in something? There's going to be 2 trillion more of them this year, at least. Like,
which is just mind-blowing.
What the hell useful is that? That's the most useless measure ever.
Yeah. And I love that analogy of people not realizing that they're actually on the boat in the water. They're in the volatile part of things, looking at the stable thing, but you don't realize it.